Chie.
And I'm Chuck Duran.
Welcome to an awesome new episode of VO Buzz Weekly.
Heck yeah, we got Erin Fitzgerald on the show today. She's a badass, she's freaking cool, and you guys are in for a treat.
She is. We're going to have so much fun, so let's go there right now. Check it out. Our guest is all about animation, video games, and anime. She is known and loved for her amazing characters in shows like Ed, Edd, and Eddy, Wild Grinders, Skullgirls, and World of Warcraft video games. Woo-hoo. She's totally awesome. We have so much to talk about with the fun and totally fabulous Erin Fitzgerald.
Hi. Yeah, baby.
I don't know where to look. I'm like, okay, wherever
you can look at
I'm
us
looking,
first.
Okay, good.
And then them, because we're more important right now.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You guys are so adorable.
Oh,
really are.
we're real.
I know.
Yeah, right?
I know.
It's so funny. I was talking to this lady the other day, and she wants to do a demo with me, and I'm like, well, where do you live? And she goes, well, I live in Germany. I'm like, oh, we can do it remotely. And she goes, oh, no. I want to get on a plane and travel to LA to cut a demo like in person.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, no, that happens all the time, but it's just like, I don't understand why people
that's
just,
a commute.
It is a commute. It's not
it's
like,
fun recording with you.
When are you going to have an excuse to go to LA and write it off?
There you go.
True
and that's what I said. There,
Mm-hmm.
nice write off there.
Yeah.
Right on. Well,
we're all about tips.
Absolutely, a lot of tips today. And speaking of tips, let's talk to you.
Okay.
So you are a trained theater actress.
I am.
From Canada.
Was. Oh, yes.
Was?
Yeah, I've been here for 15 years, so.
But she does not denounce her people.
No, I
do
do not. I do not. I go back a couple of times a year.
She's
Very
Canadian,
good.
eh?
Yeah. Totally.
And take us back to how it all started and how you got out here and all that.
Yeah, it's wow, that's sorry, microphone. I went to yeah, okay. So I was born and I came out as a character actor, pretty much. Like, no, for real. Like, I really was. I was born in Victoria, British Columbia, which is on Vancouver Island, which is north of America.
North of America.
Very good. You know, for those of you who don't know. And I remember we lived in Saanich, which was kind of north of Victoria, the city. So it was kind of out in the woods. And I literally was allowed to wander the streets as a 4-year-old. And I did, because it's Canada, you know.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to lock your door or nothing, right? It's the 70s, nobody cared. And I remember I used to go to the 90-year-old woman next door. She lived, her family lived in a mansion, but she lived in a trailer in front of the mansion, and her name was Mrs. Proudfoot. And I would go over to her house, and she would let me... Proudfoot. Yeah.
Cool.
And she let me reenact every movie I had seen on the television. So I would see Peter Pan on the television, you know, Disney Sunday nights, and then I would go to her house and act out the entire movie. I did that with Wizard of Oz, with everything. And she would just sit there for hours and let me do, well, at least it felt like hours to me, because I would do the entire movie, and she never...
How many meals did she have while she was
there would be like tea and cookies. There was a lot of tea and cookies. But we were like best friends. She was my best friend. And I felt like that's how it all started for me.
So
like,
cool.
I knew then there was no question about what I was going to do. I was a character actor. The problem was that I was kind of put into this body, which isn't really like when I was after I did like theater school, university degree in acting, blah, lots of theater, and then I ventured into television and film for a minute. In my 20s, I looked like very pretty girl in her 20s. That is, the casting for that is like super boring. Like you don't get suckier roles than young 20s pretty. Like maybe now there's more interesting things on the WB where you get like vicious girls. But back then
maybe
there
a
was
little limp or something.
Yeah. Like I had to go for. I was going for like drug addicts and hookers. I'm like, that's something interesting. Let me get my hands on a drug addict. Those were the roles I wanted because they were a little bit juicier. But I always could do. Voices, accents, character. My dad could do it too, and I think that's where I really got it from. Was he has the genetics, like the vocal cords. He could do. We would watch BBC growing up because Canada, and so we would watch a lot of Peter Sellers and like character actors. Like it was all character actors in the house. So I studied with my dad watching him watch them and then reproducing what they were doing, and then he would do his own. And he was a commander in the Canadian Navy, so there was no reason for my dad to have these talents, but he did. And then I inherited it and just started reliving that. So when I got to television and film, and I was like, this is miserable. I hate this. I don't want to play anybody who looks like me. That was pretty much the way I felt. So when I lived in a house with 7 guys in Vancouver. It was the house of 7 for me. And one of the guys in the house had started doing looping work. And I didn't know what that was. And he was like, they need a chick who can do accents and stuff. I'm like, I do accents. So he brought me in for a loop job, and it was my very first looping job, and I did it for Outer Limits, the television series. And the episode was Alyssa Milano's episode, and it was she had just gotten the girls enhanced, and there was a sex scene, and she was on top of a fellow, and they were like, okay, for your first thing, you're gonna do all of her sex noises in the Outer Limits. I'm like, I'm going to do what? So I stood up next to an actor named
I
Michael.
thought you wanted an accent.
Right. I thought you wanted an accent. Shall I do this with an Would you like a British exhale? Right? So I'm sitting next to an actor named Michael Dobson. And he and I, that's the first time we meet. We're having this ridiculous scene. But he is, he was actually British, lives in Canada now, but so he was very super polite, and it was very awkward. And it was after our day of doing looping that he turned to me and asked me, why aren't you doing cartoons?
Right.
Which I didn't even occur to me. I didn't know that cartoons were a job because I thought cartoons were real.
Yeah, you thought that they were.
Because we all thought, Papa Smurf was Papa Smurf.
Yeah.
He-Man was He-Man. There was no actor behind and I would have been super disappointed and depressed had I known
then.
Yeah, I would have been so depressed. But then after he kind of broke me into the reality of like, it could be my life, everything made sense. It was like that, oh, that's why I can do all this weird stuff that nobody has any use for. There's an area for it.
Yeah.
Now I use it. 20
so
years.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So how did you go? How did you go from Canada over here and start working and stuff?
That is some crazy stuff because I didn't plan ever to leave Canada. If you know Canadians, they tend to have a negative view on America, and they tend to
tell us more.
Oh yeah, it's kind of they don't talk
getting
so
a little
good
tense
about
in
Los
here.
Angeles, eh? So everyone I would talk to, and I'd be like, okay, so what do you think of LA? They're like, oh, LA, it's Hollywood. They're all stuck up, egotistical, Americans, all that. And so I never imagined that it was a possibility because I didn't know anybody who did voiceover and just moved, nobody personally.
Yeah.
But I met a boy, and the boy wanted to move to LA. And my career was doing really good in Canada. I had an Eddy, I had a bunch of stuff. I was booking cartoon, and video games really didn't use voices yet.
Right.
So I was just killing it in the cartoon realm. And I felt like I just found myself. It was building up, but the universe did I don't know if this has happened for you, but a series of coincidences that were so freakish they couldn't
And
be
specific,
coincidence.
yeah.
Exactly. It was like the universe slowly but surely convinced me that I needed to go. So when I came here,
And that boy was really cute, right?
I married him. So we're
Nice.
divorced now, but at the time
really
he was
cute at the
super
time.
cute and we married. So yeah.
He was marriage material.
Yeah, no, and he was a great husband. He just went different direction.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
He went back to Canada.
But I think if it weren't for him, I never would have come here. I never would have had the courage. Because when I first moved here, I gave up acting. Because this is how crazy my Canadian thinking was. I thought, I don't want to be an actor in LA. I don't want to be called an actor in LA. I don't want anyone to ever call me an actor.
Novel perspective.
Like, it was a really dark, weird, twisted, but I was so embarrassed. So I started thinking, well, maybe I can do something else for a living. And I tried. I really tuned into that life for a while, which was fascinating and amazing. And someone had chased me down to hire me for a video game. So I had totally walked away from acting, and a job hunted me down through Vancouver to LA for a job in LA. And that's how I got my work visa.
Okay.
But to get the work visa to the green card, to get the green card, I had to prove that I was famous, which.
How does one do that?
Right. Well, I'm like,
How do you do
because
that?
in my head I'm like, yeah, I'm not famous.
Do you hire paparazzi? Like, how
So
do
it
you
was
do
this
that?
crazy journey of self-discovery of my own self-worth, really, because I just kind of had poo-pooed my own career, and I was like, well, the logic is my characters are famous, and if my character is famous, then by proxy, technically,
Yeah.
maybe I'm.
Totally.
So I had to go and prove that like a
Yeah.
science experiment. So I did.
So
I
you're
did.
saying-
and they said, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at this point,
yeah.
it was Naz and
May Kanker, and I was on a show called Sabrina the Animated
Right,
Series that
okay.
had celebrities on it, and I was on a show in Cartoon Network UK called Fat Dog Mendoza, and all of the people that I worked with were very famous, so I was like, again, by proxy, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hanging out with these people, and I got them to write me letters, and
Right.
and I there was this crazy period on MySpace where I was like, okay, anybody who has found me on MySpace, would you send me a letter for my green card package?
Oh my gosh.
Just mentioning the characters. Just
Too bad
mention the
you didn't
characters.
have the selfies, because then you just have selfies of you
Right.
with famous people.
But there wasn't selfies at
I
that time because
know.
we
Yeah.
didn't have the
Darn
smartphone.
it.
So it was this
Wow.
wild journey
Wow.
of
See, if
building
it-
this
How long did that
package.
take?
It took me 10 years to get my green card.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Gosh.
every 2 years I had to reapply for a visa, and then I could apply for the green card. And it was my agency. I'm with Vox, and Wes was amazing because he was the only agency in town that would sponsor me.
Right.
I wouldn't have had an agent. I wouldn't have had a career if they hadn't. And honestly, sponsoring someone is just signing a piece of paper. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But
Right.
because people don't know what it is, they get frightened. And I had a different agent prior, but they were terrified of sponsoring, and so I lost them. And luckily, I landed at Vox because
Yeah.
they've been so good to me.
Well, it might have been
Yeah.
the previous hooker roles
Yeah.
that they knew you
The heroin
for.
addicts.
Right? That
Might have
scared
been a
them,
little
like,
bit into
we can't
drugs."
sign that girl. She's freaking
Sure.
nuts.
Yeah, a little bit.
No. Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
So what do you think are your strengths as a voice actor?
I'm a character actor. I think my character acting and my theater training. I mean, I don't book promos and commercials.
Right.
You know, the jobs that
Do you
really
not
pay
book them
well.
because you don't go after them?
No, I
or-
do.
Okay.
But the note I get back constantly is I'm too cartoony. And just me talking, I'm too cartoony. So
Yeah.
I'm totally get the note. Although I book
So the
video
real
games and stuff, that's
conversational
not-
thing.
Yeah,
is-
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can do it. I can play it down. Like I can do film style acting because
Yeah.
I booked film and I book
Right.
video games that are very, very straight and very serious and that kind of a thing.
Right.
But for some reason, when it goes to commercials and promos, I don't book. So
Yeah.
I guess my strength is cartoons.
Right.
I'm a cartoony person. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
Question mark?
And you have to be kind of, right?
I think comedian
Yeah.
You gotta-
exclamation
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Without a doubt.
I enjoy cracking jokes and I love playing for the funny in a scene and like I love cartoons. I started in cartoons before there was cartoon. I mean, that's when Cartoon Network's the year it started. I was on one of the first shows that it started with. So I really I have a passion for that. That's where my heart lies.
Yeah.
But I can also do video games and stuff. So that's cool
Right.
too, right?
Yeah. So what kind of characters do you play on video games? Like
I generally get really serious, like dramatic roles, which I'm like, really? Okay, that's fascinating. But every once in a while, I'll get a character that's really wacky.
But you have characters that people love, like Parasol.
Yeah.
And
She is the princess of the Canopy Kingdom, after all.
yeah. I mean, you've got some.
Secrets roll
After
out.
all.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and your fan base is very loyal and loving of your characters.
The people who love my characters, I think, are people that I'd probably hang out with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I love my characters. I don't know how it works for other people, but every character that I've booked so far has taught me something that I needed to know at my life at that time. So I feel every time I get off balance a little bit going, why am I not booking? I go, look at what you are booking and what it's teaching me. So Parasol had a whole thing at Chie, who I'm wearing today, because I finished
Yeah.
the last game with her and may never get to play her again. So I have so much mourning to do. It's like a theater production. After you've done theater show for like a month or 2 months, it's such a mourning process when you have to let a character go that you've lived in their skin for so long. And
Totally.
that doesn't happen for video games very often, but for me and Chie, it really did. So I'm going through the mourning process, so I might be dressing like Chie for a while. Just like my hair turned into Naz's hair from Eddy and Eddy when that show ended. I was just like, I'm Naz for a little while longer. I just can't.
I love it though. It totally suits you.
Just is.
It's beautiful.
Just is.
Yeah, it's really cute.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your process of auditioning.
Yeah.
Do you audition mostly from home?
Yes.
Okay.
90%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if you could talk about kind of what your process is, and do you have any tips for people watching about self-direction?
My rule of thumb for self-direction is if I've done 3 takes and I am judging myself too much, then I'm not allowed to record anymore for that night. If that means I don't even submit, it means I don't submit. But more than 3 takes, then I'm getting really anal with
Inside
myself,
your head, yeah.
and I don't know what they
It's not
want.
gonna get better.
I'm not getting, it means I'm not in the body of the character. And coming from theater, I have to have the character's body on it. If it's coming from here up, I'm not gonna book it. If I can feel the character all the way to my toes, that's usually when I book it. There's something very visceral for me that's slow. From here up, I go too fast. I'm reading too fast, and I'm imagining. It's all in the head, the imagination. I'm in the head of the scene.
Yeah.
But when it's all the way in my body, I take more time because
You're
I'm
experiencing
breathing
that.
the
Yeah.
character. I'm, like with May Kanker, she was like the first major. She was the first real. Ed, Ed and Eddy was the first cartoon I'd ever auditioned for. It was a 6-month audition process, and I booked her. I'm sure because I
6-month audition.
yeah, it was nuts. It would change casting directors. Danny was very particular about what he wanted. But I remember for her, like I literally, my butt came out, my teeth go, what do you want to do? I really love boys.
Right.
My body became what I needed to become
Yep.
to become her, and I think that's what stood
Now,
out.
when you were auditioning for it, when
Yeah.
you saw pictures of
Yeah.
the character, did it look like that?
No,
Kind of?
she did have buck teeth, but her butt didn't stick out. But for me to get the voice out, for some reason I gotta stick my butt out because it makes it better.
Well, it keeps you balanced. If you don't fall forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, that
And
was
I
the
don't-
funniest thing ever.
I mean,
Let's do the interview with
Yeah.
me.
right.
The whole interview.
It's not a pretty job. It's not, and it took me years to realize
Get that nice drool on
Right?
your chin.
Yeah.
Constantly,
Best part.
constantly,
Yeah.
and the snorting, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And I learned about 4 years into my career that when I do 4-year-old characters, and I used to wear skater pants all the time, thank God. But at the time, when I wear skater pants, I would hold under the crotch of my pants at 4, but I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't know I was doing it. So some director at some point goes, "Do you know that you grab your crotch when you play little kids?" I'm like, "What?" And then I had to go, oh my God, how many little kids have I played that I've been in the studio and grabbing the crotch of my pants because I do the pee-pee dance when I'm playing that. I didn't know.
That is hysterical.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that they don't videotape what we do because I'm
behind
a
the scenes with
physical.
the
Yeah,
pant grabber.
for real.
Erin,
Oh,
the
yeah.
pant
I don't think I do it
grabber.
anymore.
Yeah,
Now that I
Erin
wear
the pant
higher
grabber.
pants.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
no,
I'm
no.
I'd be
sad now.
aware. I'd be like, oh, I won't go there.
So you did the pee-pee dance.
Yes.
But that's a testament to, like you were saying, that you're taking your characters and bringing them all through your body. It's like you don't
Yeah.
even know what you're doing with your hands or your feet or whatever. You're just
Well, and
becoming-
also, I always feel that once I nail the lungs of the character, like if they've got a small set of lungs or a big set of lungs, once I get that breath in, then the rest of the body comes much easier. Because then it's like, so if I'm going to be a little girl, then I have to talk like this, and then my toes have to curl up because that's what they do.
Exactly, and you become a little girl.
Uh-huh.
The whole see, that's good too. Wow, you got the job. Great little girl.
Yeah.
No, because I
that's
think people say like,
fantastic.
"Oh, what voice am I going to do for the character?" And it's really not about
No, not
the
for
voice.
me.
It's
Yeah.
about
The voice is the last thing for me. Like, and for video game characters, I generally wear my boots because sometimes if I'm gonna be a badass bitch, I gotta feel like a badass bitch.
Oh well, and they have like the unitard with the
Yeah, I may
and
not wear the unitard, but as long as I got the
You're not
boots
the
on, I'd be like
unitard!
standing and I'd
Erin,
be
where's
like,
your commit? Do you have your little belt with the bullets? Come on.
I wear my Chewbacca sash, which also counts as but it can't make any noise with it. But
No,
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to do video
so
game
funny.
auditions in stilettos. At least
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
are
I have to
hysterical,
wear the.
man.
It's for real. Like when you see the image, like unless it's like a super military chick, then it's full on docks. You
Right,
know,
right.
I gotta wear the lace up docks all the way.
Yeah,
but another
yeah,
form
yeah.
of boot.
Yeah,
Just let's
exactly.
let's
Has
not-
to be a boot.
has to
I
be a
love
boot.
boots.
Yeah.
Are there any characters that you voice that are like kind of close to just who you are?
Chie.
Yeah.
She's really close. She's very close. I had I had donated a meeting with me to some fundraiser for children. I can't remember which. I don't remember. I like charities. So I had donated some time, and somebody bid on that from Minnesota. And flew all the way out from Minnesota. They were visiting family as well, thank goodness, because
Yeah.
I would have felt very awkward about that had they
Yeah,
come
right?
just for me. But we met up and we were hanging out, and the individual was a huge fan of Chie. And halfway through, they're like, "You are Chie." I'm like, "Well, that explains the casting then," because I
Yeah.
really didn't have to audition for her. A friend knew me and brought me in and was like, "She'll be your
Yeah.
Chie."
You'll just be you, and
Right on.
that'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So
that.
it
Pretty
worked out
neat.
love that.
good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Erin, did you get any advice along the way that's kind of helped you or guided you in your career?
I feel like I get advice all the time. I feel like when you're working with people who are excellent at what they do, just watching them is advice. Just paying attention to what they're doing is advice.
Very true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the people I want to be more like, the people whose talent blows me away, that feels like a giant puzzle. I'm like, what are you doing? That is a big deal to me, just being in the room with people who I think are way better than me so that I can learn from them. Directors that are fantastic. I mean, the advice of whatever they say in the note is kind of a note that you can take to self and use in future projects,
Yeah.
which to me is also advice.
Yeah.
You know, I know my bad habits, which apparently I can't get rid of, but I'm aware of my bad habits so I can adjust them and correct them as they come up, because they do come up.
Yeah.
For sure.
What directors have you worked with that you really, really enjoy working with?
Oh,
Besides all of them.
right. Like I'm like, because that's kind of. I'm right now. I'm in a love affair with Andrea Toyas from World of Warcraft, because there was something super special about getting to play a lead female character in a very male-heavy game, directed by a female director, and we
know.
Skyped in the female writer of the scene I was recording, and it was just the three females and the male engineer. But there was something really special. We were like, I feel like this is shifting history right now.
Yeah.
Like the three of us, and she just has this love. But all really great directors have a love for it as well. They're playing just as much as we are,
Yeah.
if not more in some
Yeah.
instances. Like all that love and support to like kind of get you to where you need to go and be where you need to be. There's so much love and support. They're amazing. But she's the recent one in my heart, where everything that I have taken out of a session with her, I've been applying everywhere else. Just
Wow.
like,
Isn't it
Sifu
cool
wisdom.
though how in
Yeah,
all
right?
the different areas of voiceover, promo, animation, games, that so many of just to use your word, badass directors are women. Whereas in the on-camera world, it's
So
much
different.
more male dominated. So I love that you have so many powerhouse women guiding these projects. It just
I
is
feel
so
like
exciting.
it's that's where the shift will begin. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is really awesome.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, I always, like when I hear a woman voicing a promo, which you hear a lot more of
Now,
these days.
yeah.
But, I start to hear more and more of that, and I love that. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, way back in the day when women weren't even doing promos or trailers, I was
No.
always like, that would be so cool with a woman's voice on it.
Yeah,
You
and there's
know?
some women that just like their voices were built
Yeah.
for. Where I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
either
like
that-
liquid
yeah,
gold.
exactly.
Yeah.
Liquid gold right there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
So, I'm with the girls.
Yeah.
Rock on, girls!
Because Chuck's theme song is "Dude Looks Like a Lady."
And that's no joke.
Yay!
And that's no joke. No, everywhere I go, they think I'm a girl. Like every time we go out to
What?
dinner,
It's like,
I swear, ladies table for two. I'm like,
ladies?
sure, why not? I'm on the plane and I got my iPad and my iPad case.
But you really don't carry a feminine quality.
I know. So I'm sitting here on my iPad with my iPad case. She's next to me with her purse, and the stewardess walks by and she goes, "Excuse me, ladies." Looks at me right in the face, "Ladies,
And I
put
think
your
you had-
purses under the seat." And
And
I'm
you
like,
did actually have facial hair at the time.
Okay.
Which I was like,
"It's
Yeah,
an iPad case. It's not a purse."
and I said the poor flight attendant was probably thinking,
She's an
what an
aw.
unfortunate looking purse that woman has, because it was not cute. So, yeah.
ugly.
Sorry, 'cause
It's
you're-
a very ugly purse.
It is a very ugly purse.
That
You're
is
a very
crazy
good
to me. That is
listener.
crazy to me.
Me too. But it happens
You're
every
very
day
in
of
touch
my
with your
life. So
feminine
dude
side,
looks like a
Chuck.
lady. That's it.
yeah.
Guess, like, but it feels like typecasting just because of long hair. I'm like,
Probably.
really? Just because of
Yeah.
like, so many men have long hair.
Yeah.
Now I want to go and ask every man with long hair if they all have the same issue.
Yeah. Well, that'd be nice.
Well, you go ask and report back.
Okay, I will.
Please.
I will.
We'll do an Erin update segment.
I will.
Yeah. what
I
is
will
it?
do the tweet poll.
Hashtag it happens to everyone.
Oh.
So I want to talk. What is the? I was fascinated by your fake radio.
Oh yeah.
Basically, tell
Okay,
us more
so
about
I can't
that.
give up theater completely, although my memorization skills have gone to the. They're gone. I'd have no. So fake radio is my perfect marriage. So I get to feel like I'm in a theater troupe. I amazingly talented people in fake radio. Fakeradio.net. Check it out. And they're doing a show this Saturday, but I'm not going to be in it because I have to do something else. But they're just. It's 1940s. Authentic radio plays, including the commercials at the time, and we do it in full 1940s garb, and we do it live on stage, and we don't rehearse. So we have the scripts, we read them cold. That's pre-cast.
Yeah.
Then we read them.
These are commercials?
No,
the
actual
whole radio
shows.
play.
So like this Saturday they're doing Ray Bradbury, a bunch of Ray Bradbury stuff,
so
and we've done like War of the Worlds, Wizard of Oz. Anything from the 30s to the 50s that was a Lux radio show. Because back in the day, what they used to do was after a huge feature film came out, they would immediately take that feature film, turn it into the radio version of it, and the actors from the film would come and act it out on the radio because people
Yeah.
listen to the radio more than they watch TV or go to movies. So it was one of those amazing things, and I get to be a part of this genius troupe of talent, and they're brilliant. They're just brilliant comedians, and we improv and riff off of the scripts. Sometimes we don't have to because the scripts are insane, but that's what I get to do in my every once in a
That is
I
while
love
project.
that. So fakeradio.net. If you guys are in LA, check it out.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, that concludes part 1 with Erin Fitzgerald. We will be back next week with part 2, so join us.
Yes, we will. And keep up with us on YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. We love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. And just remember,
You always have time for a little buzz.